to express our horror and our sadness at what happened in Dunblane Primary School on the 13th of March 1996. All we can do is tell those who lost loved ones, those who suffered injury, and those whose lives changed forever that day, that we have not forgotten. You are in our thoughts and in our hearts, and you always will be. Friends, it's hard to believe that 12 months have passed since the SNP last met here in the great city of Glasgow. We resolved then to go out and make political history on Scotland's behalf, and we did exactly that. We won all but 3 seats across our country, and we painted red Clydeside a bright golden yellow. We redefined what is possible in elections, and we have been shaking the foundations of the Westminster establishment ever since. Now we stand just weeks from another defining election, an election to our own national parliament, an election that will set the direction for our country for the next 5 years and into a new decade. Today, I will speak simply and directly to the people of Scotland. I will ask you to elect us to be your government for a 3rd consecutive term, and I will ask you to choose me to be your First Minister. I will ask you to place your trust in me and in my party to lead our country. And in return, I promise you this: we will strive as hard as we can, each and every day, in how we campaign and in how we govern, to earn and to re-earn the trust that you place in us. The SNP will never take your support for granted. And that sets us apart from our opponents in this election. Labour and the Tories have decided already that you'll choose the SNP to be your government. They see theirs as simply a battle for second place. When Scottish Labour's leader was asked if her party would come second in May, she answered boldly and confidently. She said, yes. Now, we can laugh, but it is serious. Labour doesn't believe it is going to be in government, so it makes no effort to put forward a credible programme for government. That is simply not good enough for our country. A party that doesn't take itself seriously as a party of government does not deserve to be taken seriously by you, the people of Scotland. Indeed, Labour's position is now so weakened that the Tories have been tempted to make bold, some might say reckless, claims about their own prospects. The Tories now say they want to be the main opposition in Scotland. Yes, that's right. The party that is stripping vital support from the disabled, the vulnerable and the working poor. The party of the bedroom tax, the party that is attacking trade union freedoms, the party that in Scotland wants to bring back prescription charges for the sick and tax university education. That party wants you to give them a bigger role in the Scottish Parliament. Well, I don't believe for a second that you will do that. I believe that the overwhelming majority of people across our country know this to be true. Scotland doesn't need a Tory opposition. Scotland needs a strong and determined opposition to the Tories. So my message to you today is clear. The other parties can battle over the runners-up spot if they want to. We, the SNP, are standing to be your government, and I am standing to be your First Minister. And with the other parties not preparing for government, the responsibility on us to do so is even greater. It places a responsibility on our shoulders to set out what we will do with the precious opportunity that we seek. That is what I will do today. I will set out what you can expect from a new SNP government, what you can expect from me as your First Minister. First, if you place your trust in us, you will get a government that will always fight Scotland's corner. Be in no doubt. Our loyalty and our allegiance is first, last and always to Scotland, not to party bosses in Westminster. You know how vital it is to have a strong Scottish government that will always stand up and protect Scotland's interests. We've been reminded of that just recently. During the referendum, the Westminster parties promised that Scotland would get new powers. It was a promise made freely and unconditionally. But when it came to delivering these new powers, the Tory Treasury tried to extract its pound of flesh. The Treasury tried to cut Scotland's budget by £7 billion in return for the powers we were promised. It was a blatant and shameful attempt to renege on the vow they made to Scotland. But we said no. John Swinney, our outstanding Deputy First Minister, Swinney said no to a £7 billion cut, and he said no to a £3 billion cut. The SNP saw off the Tory Treasury, or as we say in Glasgow, we gubbed them. Thanks to John Swinney, these powers will now come to Scotland without a single penny being lost to Scotland's budget. That is standing up for Scotland, and it is what the SNP will always do. Scotland's voice needs to be heard on the big issues that shape our future. And while so many of these issues remain in the control of Westminster, we need leaders who can make our voice heard on the UK stage. Of course, there will be different opinions in Scotland. Not everyone will agree with me. I know and I respect that. But as First Minister, it is my job to stand up for Scotland, to speak up for what I believe to be right for our country. That is why I say that Scotland's place in Europe should not and must not be the casualty of a bitter and twisted Tory feud. place in Europe matters. It matters for the economic opportunities it gives us and for the social protections it guarantees. Protections that the Tories will rip up in an instant if given the chance. And let's never forget that it was the Tories, backed by Labour, who told us we would be thrown out of the EU if we dared to vote for independence. For them to take us now to the brink of an exit is not just irresponsible, it is staggeringly hypocritical. To take us through that exit door against our will would be democratically indefensible. Just as on Europe, Scotland's voice needs to be heard on Trident too. The decision on the renewal of Trident is one of the most important and far-reaching that this Westminster Parliament will take. With Labour hopelessly divided, it will be down to us to make the practical and the principled case against a new generation of nuclear weapons, and we, the SNP, will make that case with passion and with conviction. My view could not be clearer. To spend £167,000 million on weapons of mass destruction would be immoral. And that is why SNP MPs, each and every one, will vote against the renewal of Trident. The SNP will always be stronger for Scotland, and we will make Scotland's voice heard. But if you re-elect us on May the 5th, our most important responsibility will be to build on the progress of the last 9 years to make this country even stronger. Today, I will set out the priorities that we will pursue over these next 5 years if you re-elect us to be your government. We will reform our precious NHS to make it truly fit for the future, and we will keep our NHS firmly in public hands. That is a guarantee. We will support our businesses, large and small, to innovate, export and expand, so that they in turn help us tackle poverty and raise your living standards. We will work every single day to build a world-class education system that gives all of our young people the best start in life. And we will protect free access to our universities. For as long as the SNP is in charge, there will be no tuition fees in Scotland.